Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to the channel. Isn't that a beautiful sight? We do have a lovely looking simulator. We definitely do. It's getting better and better, and it's already started out very well. But just look at that. Isn't that lovely? This is the new Justflight Piper Arrow III, the PA28R-201, I believe. This is release day. I have flown this a couple of times. I've been testing out the pre-release version. Justflight were kind enough to give me a pre-release look. It was very kind of them. I've already done a video of my initial thoughts. And now this is the release build. I'm now going to just do a flight with the release build and see if anything I have noticed has changed. And yeah, just give my overall thoughts. So, I kind of want to stare at this for a while longer, but I imagine you guys want to actually look at something different. So, let's jump into the normal camera view. We are here on the ground at Bob Hope, Burbank, California, and we are in the middle of incredibly classic traditional Californian weather, really. No, I'm completely lying. This is very untraditional Californian weather, I feel. Yeah, a bit of the spring rains, as it were. It's like the once or twice in California that it actually rains in the valley. So, yeah. So that's cool. I have checked on VATSIM. I have checked the METAR, and it does appear to be broken at 3000 and let's see. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Broken at 3000 and overcast at 3600. There you go. That's what I wanted. Yeah, so overcast 3200 now. 3 statute miles visibility. 0 to 0 at 5 knots. QNH 1012. Oh no, sorry, that's not the QNH, that's the time. 1020, 14 Zulu. I'm not an expert at reading these, but yeah, pretty overcast. This is IMC today. Today we're going to be flying, as you can see on Plan G. We're going to be flying out of Burbank to the Ventura VOR on the coast, and then up to Santa Barbara that has a VOR, an ILS approach, which is going to come in handy with visibility like this. It's going to be pretty much a blank slate from takeoff to touchdown. Is going to be pretty much completely invisible, no ground references at all. So a good chance just to check, have a feel for the aircraft in an IFR configuration. I know my previous video on this aircraft was more of an IFR than I think a VFR, so I really need to start racking up some VFR experience in this, because I know the handling is quite unique compared to the default aircraft so far, so there's that. Okay, so upon entering the cabin, let's just turn on Track IR. We have the ability. Let me just load. When you first come into the cabin, sorry about making you all feel sick, but when you first come into the cabin, everything's a bit glitchy. So I usually swivel my head around just to load all the things in, and then it's smoother. I thought there was like rain droplets inside the aircraft as well. So you are able to have a co-pilot. So I've just enabled him, and voila. Which is pretty cool. I think once or twice in the pre-release build, the co-pilot was kind of clipping out of the door, so that was weird. So we're gonna have him, and I'm going to take the tie down and the chocks off. Those are fine. I've pretty much got clean oil and 12-volt battery. Actually, 8.8 volts in the battery. And the one thing that's been added here that was not present in the pre-release build was priming required in red in the warnings. So it's actually giving me a warning that is priming is required. So that's interesting. We'll see how that looks. Also, my custom, I just realized, I chose the livery that had an American reg, but it still has my custom registration on the interior of the cockpit, which is not correct. So I think that may have come from, I loaded up at Burbank before I started the stream with my custom reg, and then I loaded up with an American, and maybe it didn't cache properly or something, I don't know. Okay, so just resetting the barometric pressure to 1018, which hitting the B key sets automatically. Just maneuver some of my control surfaces here. I'm going to be running off the checklists again. I believe I should be able to start the engine. I'm confident that I can start the engine. So, I'm just going to double check what my sound levels are, because my sounds were something that I had one small issue with. So if I put my sound up to, say, 6, but if you can see, actually, I'm just going to start, just to see, I'm going to start with everything on 100%, apart from music, of course, and the master at 6, just so you guys know what the release build, what kind of soundscape that they've given us. So, and then if I need to adjust as we go, I will do so. Okay, so pre-flight checklist cockpit, landing gear lever is down. Okay, I made the mistake of this the last time. It's by default. It's in. Oh, hello. You kind of turn off and on. Okay, default. It's in the up. It needs to be in the down by default. It needs to be in the down so that when you raise it up, it actually raises up instead of. Yeah, if you click the G key or whatever your keybind is to raise the gear after takeoff, you're actually not raising the gear, you're lowering the gear, but the gear's already lowered, so nothing happens. You're like, what happened? What went wrong? Parking brake. The parking brake is set. Avionics are... Oh, hello, they're on. Let's turn them all off. Like so. Okay. Avionics are off. Let's turn off our iPad. Mixture, idle cutoff. Magneto switch, off. Battery master switch, on. Fuel gauges, let's check quantity. Quantity is about 70% on both sides, just under 50, no, correction, under 30 gallons each. So, annunciator panel, let's check that. I believe I pressed that to check it. All 3 lights are illuminated. And they're not clickable actually either, so I'm guessing they should be fine. Battery master switch, off. Primary flight controls, check operation. Okay, so with the primary flight controls, we're just going to check the full rudder travel. Let's see, we can't actually see the rudder from the internals, but we can... okay, my control surfaces are flickering, and I think it's because my autopilot was on. Yes, now they're not flickering, okay. And just based on the internal modeling of the animations there, it looks like the control surfaces have the same curve that that the pre-release build had. In other words, like there's a lovely soft dead zone in the very beginning of your joystick movement, but then as you get out towards the edge of the joystick movement, the last like 10 to 15% of your joystick movement is like boom, all of a sudden it snaps to one side. So, and I actually had the, I think I have that auto tank. Yeah, auto fuel selector. Let's turn that off. Yeah, and state saving. And let's go over to the left tank, because I just saw that flick by itself. Okay, so that was that. The flaps, check the operation of the flaps. Yeah, they look good. Excuse me. Hello. Yep, so they look good. Trim, let's set the trim to neutral. Oh, is it another one of these? Oh, no, where did the trim go? Oh, yeah, of course. Right, so yeah, trim, neutral. Okay. Baggage door, closed. Yeah. Okay, so that is the pre-flight checklist. There is left wing and right wing and a bit of a walk around. So you know this is first release build video. So let's go and do this. So no, so left and right wing, flap and aileron. Let's just check them. We already did from the internals. Wingtip and lights are undamaged. That looks okay, and that also looks okay. Tie downs removed on all three. We can see that. Fuel tank, check levels. And of course, from the internals, we checked the level of the tanks. But you would physically take the fuel cap off each side and actually look inside, or have a dipstick or something like that to actually physically verify, rather than just going off the gauges in case something went wrong with the gauges. So the nose section, chocks removed. Tow bar removed. Engine inspection door is closed. Oh, excuse me, sorry. And we can see that it is. The engine inspection door would be here and here, I believe. The oil door's closed as well. Yeah, oil. You would check the level of the oil. Propeller is all in good condition. The air inlets are clear. And the landing light, check. And the landing light is down here, and you would just check that it's not cracked or damaged or anything like that. Loving the reflections off the glass there. It looks pretty clean, actually. The glass, that's the one thing. The glass on the exterior looks pretty clean, and that's a woman on the interior. Oh, that's a woman on the exterior model. Then when I go to the interior, it's a man. So I'm not quite sure about that. And I have just realized that this... no, actually, no, this still has the dirty-looking window panes. Again, that's probably a caching issue, probably because I loaded it up and then went back and loaded it again. Okay, so that is the nose section, the tail section. Let's go fin, check condition, rudder, check controls. Controls seem good. Stabilizer and trim tab. Look in good condition, and the tail cone also looks good. Let's just double check that I can indeed move the trim. That's always good to know. Before starting engine, let's set the brakes. Let's actually just make sure we don't have wheel chock still in. That's good to know. Set the brakes. We have our parking brake is set. Circuit breakers in. Now, all of the circuit breakers are modeled and they actually work. So if you did pull one out in the Justflight aircraft, you would see it being pulled out. You'd see that it was out, and that corresponding electrical circuit would be inoperable. So that's pretty cool. I think that's the noise of one of my levers flickering. Alternate air off. Alternate air is there. It's closed. Propeller full forward. Okay, so let's put that full forward. Avionics are off. Yeah, we turned that all off. And fuel selector is a desired tank, which is left. Okay, engine starting. So, we've got two different options here. We have engine starting for a cold engine and for a hot engine. So we're going to just pay attention to the cold engine. And I'm going to hopefully try to get this right. So let's go to the first item, which is throttle, crack 1/2 inch open, which is roughly about there, I'm going to say. Alternator switch on. So let's now go, well, sorry, alternator on first, and then the battery, and then the fuel pump. And then as we turn on the fuel pump, we bring the mixture to rich and then back to idle cutoff. Okay? And then you shout prop clear, starter engage, and mixture full rich. Okay? So it's a bit of a quick succession here. Fuel pump going on. Mixture rich. Mixture idle cutoff. You shout clear prop and starter engage. Yes! And as the engine begins to bite, you bring in the mixture. Ah, I'm so happy with myself. And then T's and P's quickly. You watch T's and P's. Most important of all, the oil pressure. Make sure that that does not do anything crazy, or else shut the engine down immediately. You watch that oil pressure. It's solid in the green. Oil temperature is going to start rising slowly. The amps look okay. And the fuel pressure also looks okay. And let's idle around about 13,000 should be fine. So, actually no, 14 to 15,000, I remember. So, when the engine starts checklist, mags to both, adjust the throttle, check the oil pressure, 14 to 1500 RPM. Okay, so that is the start engine checklist. One thing I will do at this point is I will go rotating beacon, which I actually should have put on before I started the engine. So that wasn't in the checklist, but okay, that's alright. I'm working off pre-release checklists actually, which is probably my problem. Nice to see the droplets, the water droplets actually are working as they should. So taxiing checklist, taxi error, it should be clear. Parking brake release, and then throttle apply slowly. Let's just swing the aircraft around here and not scrape the I was wondering if it was one of those hangers that is actually physically modeled, and therefore you smash the wing and it actually stops the aircraft. I've had that happen before. Okay, so let me just zoom in on Plan G and have a look at my situation. So I'm actually going to taxi. I know which runway I'm going to take. I'm not going to worry too much about... Oh, hello. That was my screenshot that I took. I'm not going to worry too much about Oh, hello. I thought I was... Yeah, okay, I see. I'm not going to, as I was going to say, I'm not going to worry too much about showing you the chart for Burbank. I'm literally just going to depart, and we will see what we see. Beautiful Burbank scenery. I need to fly here more often. That's pretty much what I say. That's my signature line for everywhere I fly. I always say, oh, I need to fly here more often. It looks so beautiful. So Plan G is telling me my wind is 237 at 5 knots, so I'm going to take off based on that, despite the fact that the wind sock is actually telling me something different. That's a bit weird. But Plan G is reading all of the data from the actual flight sim, so it should know what's going on. So this is the runway. This is 15 and 33, so we're going to take off 33. I'm just going to come to a stop there for a second or two. I'm going to set the parking brake, and I'm just going to tune up Ventura VOR, which is 108.2. So let's now go on with all the avionics. You can see them coming alive there. Let's go on out, and let's bring up our systems. Okay, so the VOR, as I said, was 108.2. So let's go 108-2. And yep, we can see that the Ventura VOR has come up there. The course is 250. So we're going to set 250 outbound to Ventura, which is right like that. And we're going to take our runway to, oh, sorry, not that one. I meant to say that. Takeoff runway is going to be 33. So we're just going to have a rough heading setting of 330 for the climb out. And the last thing I'm just going to do is check my checklist, the taxiing checklist. We have done the ground check. Okay, so parking brake set, propeller full forward. Oh, so no, propeller, not throttle. Propeller is full forward. And then throttle bring to 2000 RPM. So bring that up. So roughly there. You can see the aircraft straining on its handbrake. And then we'll do a mag check. So we're going to check that the mags drop roughly 175 RPM on either side. It's about 100 RPM. Back to both. And then the right mag, which again is roughly the same, which is what I would expect. I don't know how much modeling or simulation of the mags. I think I heard that they do have spark plug fouling, but I don't think they have any mag degradation like the A2A aircraft would. So, okay, vacuum. So maintaining 2000, by the way, now that we've done that mag check. Maintaining 2000, check that the gyro suction the vacuum is between 4.8 and 5.1, which it is 4.567. It's almost 4.8, and we're going to call that 4.8. Oil temperature, check. Oil temp is now kind of okay. It's still in the green, and it's kind of probably plateauing where it is. The pressure, check that it's still good. The ammeter, check. Again, we're getting good amps. Annunciator panel, press to check. And we're getting all three lights, but none of them are staying on. Propeller exercise, then full forward. So all the way down. And then all the way up. I'm going to bring it down to 14 to 1500 RPM now. There we go. So alternate air check is still closed. Fuel pump we now can turn off. Fuel pressure check with the fuel pump off, and it's still in the green. And then throttle retard. Yeah, I didn't want to retard it too much there. But okay, before takeoff, battery master switch is on. Alternator switch is on. Flight instruments have been checked. We've gone through that. Fuel pump now we can turn back on. I'm going to turn the landing light on as well, and I'm going to turn the anti-collisions on. Okay, engine checks. So check that, yeah, final check on those. They look okay. Let's just double check the compass. Yeah, that looks correct. Mixture set. Propeller set. Flaps set. Trim is set. Controls free. Doors latched. Okay, that's before takeoff checklist. Let's go the takeoff checklist. So let's off with the handbrake, and let's start rolling onto the active. Love the taxi light on the wet runway. It's always nice. So we're going to take a left-hand turning here. Probably no one would normally fly in this weather. I'm not sure. Someone desperate enough, probably. Aircraft that have full IFR capabilities to the best limits. So take off, line up on runway. Let's check compass. Compass is 3.2. Yeah, compass is checked. Yeah, that's correct. So flaps again, flap set, trim is set, accelerate to 65 to 75, and then yoke back pressure to rotate smoothly to climb attitude. And then will be the climb checklist. Okay, so mixture, rich, off with the brakes, and smoothly in with the power. Beautiful. Looks beautiful. Okay, 65, 75. Up with the nose. And I am happy to report that the air sound, the air sound of the wind rushing around the landing gear is good. Is not as bad as it used to be on the pre-release version. You're just going to bring in a little bit of trim here to help me out. And about 1,100 feet, I'm going to bring in the flaps. And we finally have our clean sounding aircraft, which is good. And then gradually rolling left and continuing my climb. I'm now going to start following this radial outbound, heading 250. So climb checklist. Best rate with gear and flaps up is 90 knots, which we're roughly making actually. And let's just level out there. There's so much to look at in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, so let's just use a little bit of right rudder, because you can see my ball and slip indicator is showing me my torque. Torque is mostly manifested at high power settings and low speed. So, and you can see that radial is starting to come in. Let's just trim a little bit more. And now I'm going to bring my throttle and my RPM down to 75% power on both. And just maintaining this altitude. And my trim, all of a sudden, the nose of the aircraft dipped quite drastically there. But we're okay. On the climb checklist, we can turn our fuel pump off. And actually, I'm still flying hands-on. I don't actually feel like I need. Let's actually not do this flight with the autopilot. Well, the autopilot is good. It's just I'm wanting to take every opportunity to hand fly to get a feel for the aircraft. Okay, we began turning a little bit too prematurely there. We see we're not on that radial as we would like to. So let's climb up to about 3,000 to 4,000 feet. He says when he's not climbing. So let's just increase my speed, my throttle and my RPM again to begin that climb. All the while trying to attack that radial a bit more. So cruise checklist: refer to operating data manual for cruise power settings. The normal maximum cruising power is 75% of the rated horsepower of the engine. Use the mixture control in cruising flight, reduces fuel consumption significantly, especially at higher altitudes. Okay, so now we've passed 3,000. Let's bring the mixture back to about 70-75%. The mixture should be leaned during cruising, operating when 75% power or less is being used, which it is now. If any doubt exists as to the amount of power being used, the mixture should be in full rich position for all operations. Yeah, okay, so you're playing on the safe side there. Also, let's bear in mind we've got 30 nautical miles to run to Ventura, so we should be okay like this, as long as we keep climbing. Because I know Southern California is pretty mountainous sometimes, so let's just keep above any potentials. Okay, to keep the aircraft in best lateral trim during cruise flight, fuel should be used alternately from each tank at 15-minute intervals. Always remember that the electric fuel pump should be turned on before switching tanks and should be left on for a short period thereafter. Okay. Oh, hello. I had a left bank happen there while I was reading my checklist. Let's just bring the aircraft back with a rate 1 turn to the right. And it looks like we're now on our radial. Just about. So maybe that wasn't such a bad thing that happened. Okay, so having a look at our fuel, where I can see a slight discrepancy, but not a huge one. At this point, let's go to the right tank. Oh crap! Yep, I should have had the fuel. I didn't disobeyed my my own reading of the checklist there. Okay, so coming up on 4,000, we'll level out at 4,000, and we'll try to fly without the autopilot. Actually, even in IMC, in instrument meteorological conditions. So yeah, just there we go. That left hand bank there just starts to slide in. So now it's just going to be a continual cross-checking of all of my most important instruments, which is the T. So crossing the T, airspeed, the attitude, altitude, and direction. These three, and then also reference the vertical speed, basically. Or all six, your holy six, basically. Just keep continually referencing those. Good practice. Okay, there is 4,000, so let's just nose down ever so slightly, add in a little bit of trim, and still trying to, still just about on that radial now, so I wonder what my wind component is, because yeah, so 8 knots from the left. Oh, hello, we've got some blue sky ahead of us, or above us. So the clouds, thankfully looks like the clouds aren't that thick. So yeah, we're now pretty much on the radial, so let's just turn in. 25 nautical miles to go. And looks like we've leveled out very nicely at the vertical speed. See, we're trimmed nicely for level flight at this point. Yeah, I like it. Cruising at just under 100 knots indicated. Everything seems to be going okay. Let's just descend very gradually down to 4,000. See if we can hold 4,000. Okay, folks, I'm going to leave you, and I'm going to come back when we are making our turn from Ventura to... actually, yeah, I'll do that. I'll come back when we're at the Ventura VOR, and we'll then transition to track Ventura outbound to Santa Barbara. Okay. I just thought I would take this opportunity to have a look at the visual external model. I think they've done a really, really beautiful job here. And that is pretty much, I can confirm, that is pretty much how the underside of a used aircraft looks. I love the stained mud and dust and water effects coming off of where the landing gear strut would be spewing water from behind. And then of course you've just got just all manner of dirt that just collects under the fuselage. And I found up in Norway when I was filming with the Diamond DA-40 NG aircraft, that are like a composite all white material, that the dirt really does collect, and you're constantly having to clean the thing. And of course, for filming purposes, for the work that I was doing, we were strapping GoPros onto the wings and on the externals under the landing gear and that sort of thing. We were definitely doing a lot of wiping and cleaning. So Justflight have really done an absolutely beautiful job at the externals and the internals as well. I mean, really, we shouldn't expect any better. Like this is pretty much the, you know, for the price point, this is amazing work, really is. I mean, I challenge anyone who's making a payware add-on to make an external model better than this. I can't imagine how you would actually do it. Just everything you look at looks correct. It looks neat. It looks realistic. You know, it shines where it should shine, and it doesn't shine where it shouldn't shine. You know, it really is beautiful. So yeah, we're still like flying through the clouds. I just thought I would take a minute to have a look at the external model as we're cruising towards the Ventura VOR. So I will get back to you in a moment or two. Okay, so as we get further towards the coast, the clouds give way to a nice rainbow and some sunny skies. So let's just turn on track IR again. As you notice, obviously in the cruise, I did actually decide, after all, to turn on the autopilot just to give myself a bit of a break, and yeah, works very well. And how far around does that rainbow? That's like a quite a good sized rainbow there. Okay, so let's jump back in the flight deck. Oh, and my mistake, I have drifted off course, and I'm on heading hold, so let's just check how that works now. Heading hold was quite laggy in the preview build. So will the nose No, that's very good. That's a lot better than it was in the pre-release build. In the pre-release build, whenever you changed the heading bug, the aircraft would swing towards the heading bug, and then it would swing through the heading bug about 25 degrees to the other side, and then would start swinging back and forwards in an effort to hold that heading. It was overcompensating. Beautiful. And so yeah, that was a bit weird, but that seemed to account for it, and hold that heading, come onto that new heading without having to overcompensate and go yawing across the sky. So just can't get enough of the scenery around here. Definitely we should fly here with some VATSIM control at some point. Okay, so just coming up to, you can see 0.9 nautical miles to the VOR. So what we're going to do now is Santa Barbara outbound track is going to be 2, 8, and 4. So let's set that. 2, 8, 4 set. And we're going to see, yep, we're going to see a flip from to to from, hopefully. Yep, there's that flip to from that we just saw. And we should see our nautical miles, yep, counting up now instead of down. So now you can see we are to the right of the radial, so we'll hold this heading, I think, until we come closer onto that radial. And of course, as we're practically right on top of the VOR, it's going to take a little while and then it's going to settle down a bit. So having a look at my charts, I've got about 43 nautical miles to run out towards Santa Barbara, and then the Santa Barbara VOR is going to be 110.3. We'll sort that out when we get there. Just looking at the lovely scenery. Yep, so you can see that radial's now starting to come in. And we are, yeah, we're cruising nicely. You can see the rain is coming across, falling from the clouds there like that. And yeah, just about on that radial. As we come in, let's now just turn. We have 8 knots still from the side, so I'm going to go a couple of degrees left of track so that we don't get blown off that radial too quickly. The one thing I was told in the preview build was that they did not model, they turned off the visual icing effect. They decided not to go with it because I believe it was just too much of an overkill, and I agree. The default Flight Simulator icing effects are way too overkill. They really need to turn them down, because you fly through a cloud and within seconds your entire aircraft is like a block of ice, and it just doesn't grow that quickly on the airframe in real life, at least to my limited experience. Anyone else, please feel free to comment in the video description your experiences of how quickly ice forms and in real life compared to Microsoft Flight Simulator. So they elected to actually turn off the default visual icing effect, but the icing does play a part on the flight dynamics, and I actually I fell victim of this the other day. I was flying and I flew into icing conditions, and the aircraft, I had to pretty much have the throttle at full 100% just to maintain my airspeed. So it was definitely quite a significant drag upon the airframe, but it just didn't visually turn up on the airframe. So I was a bit confused at first as to why am I going so slow. And why does the engine have no power? But after reading that, or being told that by a viewer, I was like, oh, okay. So I hope they come up with some sort of workaround. I hope that they do actually maybe update the model and introduce icing again using the default Microsoft Flight Simulator icing engine. But hopefully there's some sort of control over how quickly that icing appears and grows, because I feel the default model, as I've said, the default icing mechanics just are too much of an overkill. So there we go. And I can hear the wind rush, and I believe, does that make a difference on the sound? I don't think so. Nope. Wonder if there's any cabin ventilation that's making that noise. I don't think there's any switches over the paneling. But, oh, there's a change. There's been a change to the thermometer. What's the SCOO? Air. Something, maybe that's the brand of the thermometer. So you can see, apparently it says that it's negative 10, 11, a negative 12 Celsius outside, which makes no sense whatsoever. Because if it was negative 12 Celsius, flying through these rain clouds, the rain would not be rain, it would be snow, and I would be falling to the ground because of icing. So I don't know. I just don't know. You know? How can you know exactly what's going on here? That doesn't seem realistic. I'm not sure. Okay, anyway, so we know that an outbound radial works, we know that an inbound radial works, we know that the heading hold works. I'm using the cheat altitude hold right now, so that works as well. You do that by coming down and you click the Piper label just above the heading selector, or the nav and heading selector. I should have started a timestamp or a time track when I passed over the Ventura VOR, but ooh, cloud surfing, lovely. Okay, guys, so same as what I said earlier on. We are 10 nautical miles out from Ventura now. We've got about another 30 nautical miles to go to Santa Barbara. I will make a cut here in the video so that you guys can come back at the top of our descent and our prep for our ILS into Santa Barbara. Thanks. Okay, ladies and gents, we're about 10 nautical miles out from Santa Barbara now, so we're going to begin our gradual descent and get ourselves prepared for the ILS. Let's just open up Navigraph charts here, and let's go KSBA, which is Santa Barbara, and let's go our approach, and let's go the ILS localizer for runway 07 is here, and you can see again the frequency is 110.3, and the actual heading is 075. So let's go put those two things in. Turn on track IR again. So let's go 110.5. Actually, let's just cross-check that I got that right. 0.3, not 0.5. Oh, again, clicked on the wrong thing there. So 0.3, let's bring that back. And yep, we can see that that is close enough that it's actually registering. And then the actual course, let's put that in as 075. Set. Let's just double check or triple check again that we've got that right, which we have. And then the point at which the ILS begins, which is Goyad, which is here, we want to be 2,700 feet roughly. Actually, Naps could probably be 1,800. So let's shoot for, let's just go in between and say 2,000. Let's descend to 2,000 feet. We're currently feet wet, coming inbound to Santa Barbara, as you can see, up this radial. So let's actually turn 270 and actually come along and prepare ourselves for that ILS. So let's go 270. Oh, no, sorry, that was my localizer. Let's go 270. And you can see the aircraft adjusting, the heading hold very nicely, and it's turning again. It's not overcompensating and overturning that, which is good to see. Okay, so as we are going to start descending soon, let's just think about what we're doing here. Let's click the Piper altitude hold, so that's disabled, and let's just bring the throttle, let's bring the RPM down to just watching my RPM gauge there. Just trying to bring my RPM down, but it's not allowing me. But I'm going to bring my manifold down to 15 inches, and you can see my vertical speed is now about 500. Hopefully, it'll probably waver around there as it descends. But because we are trimmed for straight and level flight, we don't touch the trim. If we pull the power, then the aircraft is going to gradually descend, but the speed is not. Its speed is going to remain the same because the trim is set the same, and that's a beautiful aerodynamic phenomenon that one day I will actually feel like I'm competent to articulate how that actually works on a video, but I don't think right now, so we're going to skip over that. Okay, so let's read the descent checklist. Set the required power for descent. Apply engine power every 1500 feet to prevent excess engine cooling and spark plug fouling. Avoid prolonged descents with a manifold pressure lower than 14 inches. Okay, so we are 15 inches, so we should be okay. So let's pull that down to roughly between 14 and 15 inches, just to get the most descent rate we possibly can. And then we transition to the approach and landing checklist. We can start prepping for that. So fuel tank, let's just check which is the fullest tank. The fullest tank is the right tank, so let's go over to the right tank for landing. The fuel pump needs to be on, which it is. The mixture we could set as we're coming down through 3,000 feet. Let's go to have a rich mixture, and we can actually see we can actually see Santa Barbara just off our nose there. So it's not as IMC as I would have thought it was, so that's good. So that now that we can see visually the field, let's actually turn as if we're doing a downwind approach. So let's turn the heading bug to the reciprocal of the localizer, just to keep things orderly. So just following on the approach and landing checklist, we've set our mixture. Next thing we now need to do, now we're getting lower and lower, let's set our propeller. So let's go full forward on the propeller, and you'll hear the engine rev up. Nice to see a bit of clear sky there. We'll have a clear approach, and now if I pull the, I'm not getting my landing. I'm not getting my landing horn. And why am I not getting my landing horn? I'm confused. Surely I would get my landing horn. What have I done wrong? That may be new in the release build. I don't know why I'm not getting my landing horn, but I'm not going to worry too much about that, because I'm just going to pay attention to my landing gear situation. So that's 2,000. So now let's just trim and start decelerating slightly. Yep, and there is the glide slope flicker as we crossed the runway there. Let's just keep trimming. Just keep trimming. Just keep trimming. What shall we do? Trim, trim, trim. Anyway, yeah, just continue to pull that trim, and let's come down to about 90 knots. I think should be okay. So let's trim to maintain 90 knots. I hope I'm recording right now, because my little recording icon in the top left-hand corner of my screen has disappeared. So I'm pretty sure I am recording, but it just doesn't look like I'm recording. So, okay, so that's 90 knots. And from this position, you can see the airfield now at our over our right shoulder, which is good. We should start to see the glide slope come in. Yeah, those little white. That little white diamond should start walking its way upwards anytime soon now. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of flying in this aircraft. A lot of cross-country, IFR, VFR, as much VATSIM as I can get in. Just look at that. It's just everything is a photograph, isn't it? I'm going to wait for the little tab at the top to disappear, and that's a photograph. That's a desktop wallpaper right there. Beautiful. Okay. So from this position, we should start to see that yeah, we can see that the glide slope there is still low. So I guess we just keep flying outbound until we get ourselves some form of glide slope. Beautiful. Those islands off to our left wing. Yeah, the islands in P3D version 4 and 5. There's some really good scenery for those islands out there, but I've not flown over there yet in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I don't think. Ah, look at the scenery. The one little gripe I would have about this is that the propeller, the animated propeller texture doesn't look like it has much. Yeah, there you go. If you saw that, maybe it's just my sim is stuttering, but it flickers. It doesn't turn smoothly. Yeah, I think that's probably my simulator. Yeah, my simulator gets a little bit stuttery sometimes. And there is there's the glide slope. Okay, so let's turn 90 degrees to the right and get moving towards that that localizer, like so. And because I don't have altitude hold on anymore, the nose is dropping. Yeah, you see my some reason my sim starts to get a bit stuttery, and then it sorts itself out again. I'm going to go off with the autopilot, and I'm going to do the rest of this visually, as we have good visibility, and we also have our localizer and glide slope. Yeah, now the sim is back to its smooth normal self, so not quite sure. I have a I wonder if that's I'm getting a drag to the right now. See that? Is that wind? Surely that's not wind. Oh. What is that? My autopilot's off? I don't know. Surely it shouldn't be. I don't know. Anyway, approach and landing. Fuel selector is full as tank. Fuel pump is on. Mixture is set. Propeller is full forward. Gear down at 129 KIS maximum. But and the flaps down at 103. What I've heard is that this aircraft has an automatic gear down system, where if you're at the right airspeed, yeah, the sim has gone a little bit stuttery again for some reason. I love the look of those clouds rolling off the mountain range there, and I also love the you can see the extent of the Orbex regional package and how it overlaps with the global texture. So the gear have like an automatic gear down system where if the aircraft is slow enough, and I'll put my first notch of flaps down. Let's see how long it takes the gear to automatically release. And yeah, again, I feel like they've adjusted the sounds to be much better now than the pre-release version. Yeah, so for some reason I'm getting that the aircraft is dragging to the right-hand side, and I don't know why. Is it? Surely it's not my rudder trim, or is it? Oh, look at that! Look at that! Okay. Now it's not dragging. Maybe it just needed me to yank the sticks back, the control column back and forwards, just to get it out of its. Maybe it thought the autopilot was still on. I have no clue. Well. Okay, now the gear warning horn wants to say hello. But do we have automatic gear down? We don't, so let's now put the gear down ourselves. Now we have gear down, 3 green. And let's do, yep. And of course, now I'm a bit too high, so let's just come down naturally and do a visual approach here. Maybe it was wind. Maybe it was wind that was pushing me earlier on, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's definitely kind of pushing me around now, so. Yeah, right, let's crab. Oh, hello. Yeah. There is a bit of a fiercer wind than I thought there would be. But it seemed to be correcting okay. Flaps up. And, oh. Let's just lean the mixture for ground operations. Interesting. Yeah, that wind. There is a bit of a wind there. Okay. But now I know that's what that is. I'm not worried about it. So let's just slowly decel. And let's just taxi off to the left here. I do like that terminal, really like that terminal. Well, I like all the terminals here at Santa Barbara. They have a lot of character to them. But let's just turn off left. Okay, so after turning off the active, let's go off of the pitot, let's offer the anti-collision, and offer the landing light. And let's go off with the fuel pump as well. There is no checklist for coming off the active, but those are just things that I decided I will do those. And let's then taxi. Ah, love the look of the clouds. Let's just taxi over onto the apron and turn. I believe my first scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator that I purchased was Santa Barbara. So it's nice to be back here again. Okay, so what I'm going to do for the shutdown checklist, I'm going to do flaps, retract, fuel pump is off, yeah, avionics, let's turn those off now. Like so. And dim that off, the Garmin. Okay, electric switches, let's turn those off. So let's go along our electric switches. Those are off. Yeah, all of our electric switches. Let's turn those off. Propeller, full forward, throttle, closed, mixture, idle cutoff. And then, oh, okay, yeah, and then continue. I wish that didn't do that. And then once the propeller stops turning and the cylinder stops firing, then we turn off the mags. The alternator switch and the battery master is off as well. And that, ladies and gents, is a full IFR flight in the brand new Justflight Piper Arrow III for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Really beautiful little add-on. Love it. Really, they've done a fantastic job for the price. It's also really well. I feel really it's definitely worth its price tag for what you get out of it and what it has over the default aircraft. It has just that little bit extra realism in every single category, I think. And it will be a really nice little workhorse aircraft for me in the next coming weeks and months, as I get to know it and as I start flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator a lot more now, because I now finally have something that is a decent GA platform to start working off, and something for me to be flying while I still continue to wait for A2A's offerings. So thank you very much for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this this first video of the release build of this aircraft, and stay tuned for more in the future.